I think we did just a few games just some years ago.
Yep.
And everyone agreed that you did a great job. You cleaned up the neighborhood, had the police there in massive, you had a lot of security.
We never have a problem.
So, I mean, I think your record is stellar and is, like the varsity club, run well.
With no questions and knowing what the game plan is and we've seen all that, is there a motion?
Twenty 2195 North High Street. The alley is not named. So it's-
If you want,
Is it okay? I think this is,
anyone downtown.
it says unnamed alley from West Ridge south to West Lane Avenue. There's no sign, I've never heard of that.
Any words on that?
So the motion is to approve.
Right.
And Brian, you're a second. Carrying on the questions, Katie, whenever you're ready to call
He was not on the agenda, so I just want to make sure I have it.
I'm sorry, I'll email it to you, but it's on the printed copy of it.
Oh,
Sorry.
gotcha. No worries, I just want to make sure that I have documentation in here so I know what I was talking about. And then is Jillian able to vote? Okay. All right, Jillian Dyer.
Yes.
Meredith East.
Yes.
Jeremy Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Gallagher, I see you're here, yes?
Abstain.
Abstain. Justin Garland.
Yes.
Seth Gold.
Yes.
Squally Grotto is not here. David Hegley.
Yes.
Sage Jenkins is not here. Michael Pellmeyer.
Yes.
Kate McDevitt is yes. Benjamin McKinley.
Yes.
Demetrius Moore Saunderson.
Yes.
Kevin Pandreas.
Yes.
We don't have that one yet. Tim Stollett.
Yes.
Tori Newhouse-Sauer. Yes. Steve Waldron.
Yes.
Tom Wildman is not here. Brad Williams.
I like EC votes, yes.
Um, I have 15 yeses, motion passes.
Call your name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure. We also have a presentation tonight with the Columbus Metropolitan Library. We have Kate McCartney, who is the Northside branch manager, and
I want to thank everybody.
Feel free to bring up anything too.
She'll be okay. No, you served there.
Thank you all so much for the opportunity to present this evening. I'm Kristen Sutton, the Government Relations Manager for the Columbus Metropolitan Library. And with me tonight is Kate McCarthy, who is the branch manager of the Northside branch, and my own direct supervisor, Laura. So as part of our sesquicentennial 150th anniversary, we are doing some enhanced community outreach, trying to get out to every area commission, city council, all 10 of the school districts that are in our service area, to talk a little bit about what we have going on this year, and then what we have going on directly in the community that we happen to be in. So just a little bit of history about the Columbus Metropolitan Library. 150 years ago, not long after the Civil War ended, the Columbus Metropolitan Library operated as a single reading room in City Hall downtown on the site of the Ohio Theater today. And the words open call were included in our founding charter. That's something that's been important to us for all 150 years and continues to be important to us today. The first standalone library was opened in 1907 at our current location on Grant Avenue downtown, thanks to funding from Andrew Carnegie. I'm going to turn it over to Kate to talk a little bit more about the history of the Northside branch and about some of the programs that they have going on. So the first Northside branch opened in 1940 at 9044 North High Street. This happened because the demand to have library services that were closer to people's homes were rising. And so CML started opening some branches closer. We've been in several locations. We moved to 1100 North High Street in the old Brown Dye House Dry Cleaners in 1958. And then the location moved once more in 1975 before it found its current home in 1990, where we are right now, at 1423 North High Street. So we had a new branch open in 2017. You see a little tiny brick building, very crowded and dark, and now it's a bright, open, very white, shiny building. So we are looking to add some color and art to it. But last year, our Northside branch saw more than 150,000 customer visits. In our 2022-23 school year, Young Minds is a big focus of ours, so doing school health and serving our schools are very important to us. We have a school health center, and so we serve more than 2,300 students and third graders in our reading buddy sessions. Our reading buddy sessions help get young elementary ages ready to pass that third grade reading guarantee. So first and second graders can come to practice with some of our volunteers and staff. So far this year, we have distributed over 2,011 after-school snacks and 133 summer lunches since we began on June 1st. Starting in mid-January, we brought in a social work intern from OSU's College of Social Work. Her name is Ashley. She's in the building 4 days a week for a total of 16 hours. And she's had 184 sessions with customers, connecting them to resources. It was something that we very desperately needed, and she has made a huge difference in getting to know our residents and our population around us. Some upcoming programs I want to highlight. We have started doing a program called English Conversation Tables every Tuesday. We do not offer ESL classes in our branch. So this is an opportunity for our customers who are learning English to come in and practice. We have a theme every month that might focus on food, it might focus on traveling, and there are some prompts and questions that our librarian will ask, and it just opens up the room to allow our customers to talk to each other. It's a growing program. We've started to receive OSU students who don't have anyone to practice with over the summer have been coming to us. It's a really great program, and we're excited to see it grow. We found that it's absolutely needed in our neighborhood as well. And then on July 6th, we will be hatching chicks at our library. So we work with a group called Bring the Farm to You, and they bring us the whole thing. We get a little incubator, we get about 6 eggs, and we have them for about 10 days before they hatch. We have them for about 10 days after they hatch, and it's a great experience to kind of watch that cycle of life. And holding little baby chicks is just a really nice, calming way after a stressful day in the library. So that's a little bit about what we've got going on. And then system-wide, I mentioned that it's our sesquicentennial, so we've been holding celebrations across the city all year long. On March 4th, all of our locations held birthday bashes, and we saw thousands upon thousands of customers coming through our doors on that day in particular to celebrate with us. In July 15th and 16th, we are hosting the inaugural Columbus Book Festival at the main library downtown and in Topiary Park. We have almost 300 authors between some of the best-selling names across all genres and age groups, as well as a robust collection of independent and self-published authors who will be on site for panels, programming, book signings, We're doing an author speed dating opportunity where you have the chance to go around and mix and mingle with the authors that we have on site and have a few minutes of their time to pick their brains about the topics that they write about every day. We also are hosting an enhanced Sesquicentennial Author Series, which brings prominent authors from around the country to Columbus for talks with the community. And I'd also like to highlight our Library Passport program. The Library Passport program is a year-long opportunity for the community to celebrate our birthday. So customers can come in and grab a passport and get a welcome prize. And then after they collect stamps by visiting library locations, visiting community partners, doing fun things like walking around Storybook Trail, they can collect a grand prize, which is a tote that was designed by a local Columbus artist, Carlisa Hayes. It's custom designed for the 150th anniversary. And then they also have the opportunity to enter a grand prize drawing. So much of what the library does is focused on our youngest customers. The passports were redesigned for our young adults and adult populations, so the prizes really reflect that. So if you don't have your passport yet, we would encourage you to do that. And then I'll just kick it back over to Kate to share a few closing remarks, and then we'd be happy to take any questions that you all might have.
So you may have heard that the library has announced that we are going to have a levy in the November 2023 ballot. It is an additional 1.5 mil continuing levy. So if you have questions about that afterwards, we have some talking points we can try to answer. Other than that, thank you so much for having us this evening for this opportunity to highlight the work we're doing. I'll be following up with an email with some more information about our services for kids, teens, adults, and educators. And I hope you share it with the community.
Do we have any questions for anyone on the commission? I should, for full disclosure, I should say that we talked just before she spoke and about our plans for 50th anniversary, hopefully celebrating the future with past. But planning might want to know that they would be happy to have an exhibit of our photo collection.
Great.
Our extensive photo collection of history of the university. And in full disclosure, Tom Betty and I have done neighborhood walks with GCAC and all of those walks every Monday evening for years and years. I'm doing them with the library, and we only chose 4 libraries during this year because their schedule was so packed. So we did, 2 weeks ago, we did Denison Place. Before that, we did Tom Franklin. Shepherd will be next in 2 weeks. And then in August, we'll be driving to Livingston. But there are 37 more walks planned. So for instance, the circle would be separate from Denison Place, as an echo might be and whatnot. And the only things we're trying to decide now is how to do a walking tour that starts at the library, because that part of the idea is for people back in libraries, and try to do Old Home Columbus. So maybe we'll work on bus passes and we can all experience riding the bus again, and then we'll keep it the Redwood Lounge, which will thrill self. We'll bring the whole area together. We're looking forward to a lot of things. So there's opportunity for the university area to have its history explained.
Will the book fair be kind of like the Ohio Inn, or there's book sales as well?
Yeah, so it will be like Ohio Inn, and there'll be book sales, but it will be much larger than Ohio Inn. We have the full library, every room and space reserved for our author talks. The schedule is available on the book festival website. And we'll be out in Toberry Park as well with some exhibitors who have book adjacent merchandise. We'll have a food truck court, and we have 2 stages for performers. So think of this as the Columbus Arts Festival, but for books. It's the first year that we're doing it, and we're really excited, I think, about the opportunity to put this on for the community.
So this will become an annual event, perhaps?
We'll see how it goes. I think our one staff person who's in charge of this would have different feelings about what we say, but I think we want to see how it goes and evaluate the community response before committing to doing it for the long term.
Can I ask the
Thank you for all you do. That's just absolutely wonderful as a resource, not only for books, but for shelter, for teaching, and for all kinds of other things and sporting. So how do you kind of ensure that banned books are still kind of accessible within the community?
So we do have a reconsideration form, so if someone is concerned about a book, there is a form that we ask them to fill out. It does have questions about, have you read this book? Can you specify the passages that you have an issue with? And then it goes to our director and our board, or CEO, I should say, and our board, and they do thoughts on it. The mission of the library is to be open to all and to have materials for everyone. So it takes a lot for something like that to happen. So far, knock on wood, CML has not faced too much of what's been happening across the country at this point. Our administration very much supports though our communities, and so I think that it would not be an easy rollover on them.
And the only thing that I would add is that the initial decision goes through our CEO, and in his more than 30 years in this business, he's never once removed material from a shelf. And, you know, knock on wood, he doesn't plan to.
I'm glad to hear.
I just express appreciation to the Northside Branch for hosting the meetings of the Denison Place Neighborhood Association and for enforcing your closing times, which means that our meetings.
Yes, that we're very strict about what time we close the building. They want to go. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Maybe we should meet there. The idea, the levy, I mean, you know how much that will be?
I don't want to get it wrong, this is the first time that I've been asked. $53 for each $100,000 with county auditors appraised value. And since we're going on the ballot in November of 2023, the levy would be on the current assessed value of your home and not the new assessed value. So if the levy is accepted by voters, the effective millage would immediately be depleted on January 1st when those new property values go into place.
The reason I asked that, I think it was like 8 years ago, we had one that was 5 times larger than any one there had ever been. And it seemed like right after that, every library got replaced with a lot line library, including this one, which I was on the commission when the library before that was here, so it was only a 20-year-old building. It sort of made me think you guys were so flush with cash, you could spend it quicker.
I don't think that that's the problem. You'll see that there are still several locations in the system that haven't had those upgrades that a lot of communities have come to really appreciate. Libraries are so much more than the books and technology that are inside of them. And we really work hard to make inviting spaces where people feel welcome, from our littlest readers who have safe and comfortable environments to read and learn, to some of the unhoused population that really look to the library for shelter when it's really hot outside and also in the winter when it's cold. We have a great partnership with the city of Columbus and our homeless liaison to make sure that we're making those connections to services. So I know that it's very easy to say that building was only 20 years old, but the wear and tear that happens in those. And then also just as technology grows and changes and evolves, the types of upgrades that need to happen to a space that could have never envisioned the world that we live in today, those are pretty pricey, and sometimes significant renovation or new building are really the way to address those. And then you also have, going on and on about this, but if you're really passionately about it, so many sections of the city are growing, and the spaces that we once had are no longer large enough to serve them. And at CML, we implemented a new policy of looking at the square footage of the new buildings that we do construct to ensure that it's square footage per poverty population of that community and not just per the number of people that reside there. So we're investing more in communities of opportunity that might need to see some of those other resources brought in.
Thank you for coming tonight to.
Thank you so much.
Help strangers come back and
one more.
One question, you said the social worker was at 4 days a week,
Yes,
is that like Tuesday, Friday?
she's there Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, in 4-hour shifts, and they vary, some of them are in the morning and some are later in the afternoon.
Great, thank you all.
Looking on that, onto the agenda for the report.
Good evening, commissioners. And just one more thing to highlight with the Columbus Library that I sent out in my email blast yesterday. At 17 locations, they now offer free pregnancy tests. So in my email, it has a list of the 17 branches, so they're a great partner.
We are one of them. Northside has them.
So thank you guys for what you do. The first item is, this was also sent out in my email blast. Zoning Columbus is having a discussion about how and why or why not development happens in certain neighborhoods. This is taking place next Wednesday, June 27th, from 6 to 7:30 at the Lincoln Theater. Seating is limited, so please RSVP, it is free, so please register. Our next area commission meeting takes place next Wednesday, June 28th, from 6 to 7:30. It is via WebEx. And it's highlighting 3 programs that are housed within the Department of Neighborhoods. They include the New American Initiative, My Brother's Keeper, and the Commission on Black Girls. So we hope you can attend that. And finally, next Thursday, June 29th, from 3 to 6, Columbus Public Health is handing out free Narcan and fentanyl test strips while supplies last. So please share that information. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to introduce you to your new neighborhood liaison, Catherine Swidarski. She goes by SWID, SWID. She will be your neighborhood liaison. She is fantastic. But we will be doing a soft handoff, so there are things I'm still working on. Like I think about the neighborhood concerns in your neighborhood. So there's going to be a soft handoff in working with things, and I am still around the corner on the south side, and I will come back to visit often. So if you want to ask me any questions or Swid any questions at the end. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Officer,
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everybody. It's kind of our busy season, so we've got a lot of community events going on. So I'm just trying to get caught up at work, just going through emails and whatnot. We had our Pride Festival parade last weekend, and we estimated those that were in attendance almost was the size of the population of the city of Columbus. And that was probably for the duration of the event. My unit was assigned to handle the prisoner transports, and I'm happy to report we did not have one arrest at the Pride Parade, which is really good considering the number of people who attend the parade. So that's good news. When we met a lot of great people and engaged with a lot of the community, and it was a good event. This Friday, we have our law enforcement torch run for the Special Olympics. We're going to be doing the last leg of the torch run from OSP's Academy over on East 17th Avenue. And we'll have a bunch of bike officers out there. Our mounted unit is going to be participating, and we'll be escorting, and also our recruits in the academy are going to be running it too. But we're going to be running all the way over to Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium out on the West Campus area. But like I said, that's going to be on Friday. The actual torch run starts about 7 p.m. So if you got some time or would like to go over there and support the athletes, it's a great event. And then also we have ComFest this weekend. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up for that. I just heard on the radio as I was coming over here, they're actually getting things ready down at Goodale Park. So again, lots going on. And we're, obviously trying to be everywhere we can, my community liaison unit. I did want to touch on that Operation Burnout, kind of what's going on right now with a lot of our issues that have been in the short north primarily, but it also affects campus. We had several traffic citations that were issued. First weekend of it, that was May 19th and the 20th. 224 traffic citations, 31 misdemeanor summonses, 1 juvenile arrest, 4 misdemeanor arrests, 7 felony arrests, 8 arrests on warrants. There were 7 firearms recovered. There were 4 incidents of drugs seized. There were 297 parking citations and 107 impounds. And then the following week, we also had a lot less traffic citations. There were 86. There were 14 misdemeanor summonses. There were 9 juvenile curfew summonses that were issued, 3 felony arrests. They had 2 recovered BB guns. There was 1 incidence of drugs seized, 210 parking citations, and 95 impounds. And again, the goal was not arrests or citations. The goal is, to make safe for everyone in the neighborhood and every resident in the city of Columbus. We stepped up those efforts in response to the shootings that happened in the short north. And again, the violence is continuing. I mean, we saw what happened over the weekend. Down in the short north, there was an individual that was pronounced. They found a male that was shot in the head over by a dumpster. I don't really have too many details about it. I saw on the news this morning, they shared some video of some individuals that they're looking, maybe have persons of interest, or if there was some kind of disturbance or fight between the individuals. But, I just wanted to share that happened. That was in 900 numbers of North 4th Street. But the one that you guys are probably going to want to know about is the incident over at 1332 North 4th Street. That's close to the Wyland Park area. I can only really release little details because this happened literally Monday night, early Tuesday morning. It happened, I can tell you, at 1 o'clock in the morning. There was a lot of shots heard. I just pulled up the run. A lot of shots, nothing seen. Caller said cousin was shot in the foot, came from the alleyway. Suspects were on foot. They were shooting from the alleyway. There was a tourniquet applied on one of the victims. But the only thing, like I said, that I know is that there was one individual that was shot in the right thigh and another individual that was shot in the foot. Both were transported to area hospitals. The detective that I talked to today said one of the individuals, the victims, was not cooperative. So again, it's still very early in the investigation. I can't tell you if they were shooting at each other or if there was somebody else that was involved. I don't know, many details other than what shared with me. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that, we do have detectives that are handling the case. Hopefully they get some kind of help, maybe from the community or somebody knows something, and because one of the victims wasn't being very cooperative, but luckily both victims are going to survive. Also, I wanted to share, Ms. McDivitt actually asked me about, there was an individual that was reported missing. And I don't know, did you ever get that email I sent you?
I did.
Okay.
Devontae Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. So I just wanted to share that I talked to our sergeant in that unit. It looks like they had several reports that had been filed previously with the suspicion that he was missing, but no missing person report was ever officially filed. So the sergeant did say that it could be because of jurisdiction issues where this individual was allegedly missing from outside of Columbus. Regardless, the sergeant said he's going to take a look into it and hopefully get him into our leads computer, which is basically like any law enforcement officer across the country runs his information they find out is missing. But again, it said that it might reside in Florida, so they're looking at some leads on it, and hopefully, I think he said that he reached out to the family, so I'm just hoping that we get some kind of resolution, hopefully find out where he's at. And then I was just going to share one other thing too. So I'm getting a lot of complaints about our unhoused population, and I know it's a very sensitive topic, but there is a really good article that I pulled up, and I'm going to share that with you guys. If you want to do a little bit more detailed reading, it's a good article. But basically, just some of the talking points. 5 years ago, a federal court issued a crucial ruling that people experiencing homelessness, that they're unhoused. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said they can't be punished for sleeping outside on public property if there are no adequate alternatives available. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many complaints I get, and it's like, you know, I'm trying to let people know that we have procedures in place now because of a lot of these court rulings. And I mean, it's not just here in Columbus, it's all across the country. You know, my goal is to get these people that are unhoused connected to social services. If they're in the public right of way, which a lot of our unhoused people are, you know, we're trying to get them connected to, like I said, Southeast, Mount Carmel, outreach, to see what we need to do to get them in a better place. And a lot of times people, they absolutely just, they don't want the help. They would prefer to be in the park. They would prefer to be camping wherever they're at. And again, this creates problems because the case that we're talking about here dates back to 2009 when there was an individual, a group of fellow unhoused residents in Boise, Idaho, sued, arguing that police citations they received for breaking local camping bans violated their constitutional rights. And in 2018, the Ninth Circuit agreed that prosecuting people for sleeping or camping on public property when they have no home or shelter to go to violates their Eighth Amendment's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. So, and again, the government cannot criminalize indigent, unhoused people for sleeping outdoors on public property on the false premise that they have no choice in the matter, the court declared. And again, states, cities, and counties urged the U.S. Supreme Court to take up the case, arguing that the Ninth Circuit had created a de facto right to live on sidewalks and in parks that would cripple local leaders' ability to safely govern their communities. But in 2019, the court declined, baffling some experts, though others suspected it is because there are no conflicting circuit decisions at the time. Since then, this case has shaped cities' response or lack thereof to the growing challenge of homeless encampments. While the decision only formally applies in areas under the Ninth Circuit's jurisdiction, the ruling has reverberated nationally as local governments consider how to address unsheltered homelessness in ways that could avoid costly constitutional legal battles. There have already been dozens of court cases citing this case, including the Fourth Circuit in Virginia and federal lower courts in Ohio, Missouri, Florida, Texas, New York, and Hawaii. So I just share that with you because, you know, that's my biggest complaint right now, and I'm doing the best I can. And you know, I live in Columbus, and I see, you know, them at a lot of our unhoused individuals at the freeway off ramps. But the city is just they're doing what they can to, you know, avoid any kind of, you know, lawsuits or anything like that. So if people have any issues, like I said, I want to share the website with you. If you go to www.vox.com, the article is by Rachel Cohen, and it was dated June 12th this year. So I highly encourage you to read over the details. It's actually a very interesting article. But I'll be around for questions if anybody has them. Thank you.
Harrison.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Good.
All right. So a few highlights from City Council. Council President Pro Tem Rob Dorrance has increased the funding for Safer Roads, which was a $2 million investment for safety and visibility. So if you have any questions regarding safety roads, reach out to Councilmember Rob Dorrance's team. And then Councilmember Lourdes de Padillas recognized the month of June as Immigrant Heritage Month, which they will be celebrating it next week. And I'll give you guys more details if you'd like to come up there and celebrate it with them. And then lastly, Councilmember Shayla Favorite also put an ordinance for curbing gun violence in Columbus. Basically, they will be getting gun lock boxes where they will be passing around with a $45,000 investment, and their goal is to decrease gun violence that's going on. A few dates to keep in mind on what council members will be doing this summer. We are back to doing our summer splash. I don't know if you heard it. We've been doing it for the past 4 years, but this is for the children and anything like that. Of course, adults can definitely come to the swimming pool, but we will be starting this Friday at Marion Franklin. at their swimming pool. And then the following week, June 30th, we will be at Driving Park Swimming Pool at 1 p.m. to 2:30. And then after that, we will be at Turtle Park Swimming Pool, July 7th, 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And then we will conclude July 14th at Glenwood Swimming Pool. Lastly, I'd like to share our Public Safety Week, which is being led by Councilmember Reedy. I did send out an email. I will be sending out again so that if you'd like to RSVP or depending on which event you want to attend. So they will be starting this Sunday on the 25th, and they will be having a free brunch and a CPR and Narcan training, which will be at Tri-Stone Missionary Baptist Church. And then on June 26th, on Monday, they will have a Columbus Public Safety Week resolution, which will be happening at City Council. And then they will have, June 30th, they will have a virtual lunch presentation with AXON, excuse my accent. Yes, AXON. And then lastly, they will be having a public safety community conversation, which will be happening June 28th. So I will make sure I send all these dates in an email where you can give it to reserve and get to do it. We do have a lot of things happening in summertime, so hopefully you guys can get this time up. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm Matt Hansen, Campus Partners, planner with OSU Architecture Real Estate. We've got two businesses that are opening up at University Square. Smashburger opened up today. So go to grab a hamburger. And on the 23rd, we've got Campus Grill that will also open. I'm hoping that they open, they have a little flood invitation this afternoon. I've heard that there's a long schedule of time. And then Dave's Hot Chicken is currently under construction and anticipated September opening. Also wanted to mention on the OSU Architecture Real Estate side, we've been a supporter of the Design Center for a number of years. And this year, we have supported their new youth collab program, which engages high school students who are interested in careers in the design field. They're going to be undertaking a 6-week program. We're just paying for their participation, $50 an hour, to engage with a business and come up with design ideas to improve the exterior of the business. So there's 12 youth that are involved in this program. And Nora helped identify that the business is going to be, and just confirmed, maybe half an hour ago, Greenwood House and coffee. So I'm really excited to see that come to fruition. The program starts next week.
The 26th.
Yeah. And then we're also working with NBC to sponsor in the University District additional urban interventions that would engage different public space enhancements, building facade enhancements, and so we're working through the details on the program and see right now. More than us.
Thanks. All right. Okay. So, I hope hi, Nora. You have not checked out the new mural on West 8th and High, please do so. Adam Hernandez is a local muralist, completed this mural last Wednesday. It is bright, it is bold, and it is
It really brings a lot of energy into the university district, so that's exciting. And then the other exciting news that I have today is if you so choose on your cell phones or on your laptop computers, you can go to universitydistrict.org, that is just our website, and you will see a brand new refreshed website that we have soft launched now, this week. So if you have any questions or see any bugs or misspellings or things that break, don't hesitate to just tell me. I've been looking at this website for a very long time and it's been a labor of love, but hopefully you'll be able to move around the website a little bit more and also see more things that we're doing. We'll be able to post updates. All of the University Area Commission meetings will be on there in our community events space. So there's lots of different things and ways that we will be able to use the website together.
Hello, everyone. So our team is in full planning mode, preparing for fall semester to start, believe it or not. It's not much far away. So we are planning a lot of enhanced education for our students going to their first and second year. And I know I mentioned last time we were focusing on building a curriculum for those students in their third year and beyond. And so we're well underway and have developed all the educational learning outcomes and goals for those programs. And now we're starting to really look at what all of those programs and pieces look like for students. Myself and our director, Zilna, were able to attend the International Town and Gown Association Conference in just the beginning of the month at Colorado State University. It was a really great experience. This conference brings together folks that work in the city, community stakeholders, and universities to talk about the ways that they're partnering together in order to address different concerns in their university district. It was a really amazing opportunity. We had lots of takeaways, lots of lessons learned, and we were also able to present and share about a lot of the work that we're doing. And kind of a cool thing from that conference is our office is one of the largest offices that are supporting students living in the off-campus area at any university across the country. So really cool that we have this great opportunity. We also have been partnering with NORA, the University District Organization, as well as the City of Columbus for our Move Out, Move In efforts, which will start on July 29th and run through August 14th. That is where the city will suspend the bulk pickup, and there will be 15 dumpster locations spread throughout the University District area, 4 recycling dumpsters, and we're really excited this year to partner with the Furniture Bank of Central Ohio. And there will be 3 additional locations for students to donate furniture or anyone in the university district as well. We also have a roommate fair coming up on July 11th. That's happening at 4 p.m. over Zoom. And we're hosting those on a monthly basis for any students who are still looking to find roommates and find housing. We have a large group of students that are still looking for housing, with transfer students or students who aren't able to secure on-campus housing, and so that process is continuing to happen over the summer as well. And then finally, we've been spending a lot of our time also with orientation sessions. We have 27 sessions over this summer where we are helping our students acclimate to campus and sharing resources with both parents and students through that process as well. Thank you.
This is the fun part, trying to remember all the questions you might have in your head. Any questions from commissioners to any of the reports that we've heard?
Just a comment, I've looked at the website that Nora has just unveiled. It's really nice. It's really a lovely site. I think it'll work well once we get ours up and running. They'll work well together. It needs a map though. We need maps. We need a map for it and to connect it to our site, but that's it.
I wanted to echo that sentiment. I didn't provide feedback, but I did look, so I really appreciate you sending that to me. And just a question for you. Would you mind if we link to your local resources rather than trying to create our own page of local resources? Like, I think there is, I forget the specific page it was, but.
Yeah, the I think it's just called City Resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Page under the Good to Know tab. Yeah, we can, that, and like, this is essentially like, I would say maybe a half step up from a minimal viable product. And so it's live, but we can add things or change things as we go.
Great.
So yeah, we can make sure that
It just seemed like it would be better to have it in one location.
Yes.
Versus to maintain it in two separate locations.
yeah, happy to do that. Like with, and that's, it's really easy, like with Move Out, Move In, you know, you can go to universitydistrict.org/move. And that's where everybody directs all the information to, which I am actually realizing that it still says 2022 on it. So the information will be updated on that site, but on that page. But yeah, so like we do the same thing with Move Out, Move In. Makes sense to do the same on that.
A question for Matt or Nora. You mentioned the design project, and I didn't quite hear it because I had hearing. It's focusing on the Rambling House, you said? Rambling House is the business that was selected?
Yep, yep.
Will it just be cosmetic changes, or will it be
Exterior, yep.
just cosmetic exterior changes? Okay. Parking has always been a thing of the place. They've been using the Metairie School, but I know that that's one of their issues. I don't know if that was on the table for them.
These are primarily just low-cost issues that students can come up with on their own and implement themselves.
Right, be a new mural on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice mural now.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a falling down Honey Cup coffee, like, banner. You
Yes.
actually don't know that it's Rambling House because they don't even have a sign outside.
Right.
I mean, it looks, you know, it just doesn't, you wouldn't know that it's an amazing place with live music, like local live music, coffee during the day, and, you know, like, what do you call it, handcrafted sodas,
Yeah.
if you looked at it from the outside. And so the reason why I was chosen and selected is because plus Hudson and Indianola could use a facelift. So if we can start at one corner, we can hopefully go to the rest. But yeah, so that's why that was selected. And it's all, so no zoning issues here. Addressed all
Yay.
exterior enhancements.
Excellent. Thank you.
I have a question for Rochelle. For the furniture drop locations, do you have, like, where those will be?
Yeah, I can email them. We have a list of all the dumpster recycling and furniture, so I can list those.
And they'll also be updated on the universitydistrict.org/move website. There's an interactive map and all of the listings of those different locations.
And as a key liquor district, people can use the dumpsters, so our neighbors who haven't moved in areas that aren't cleaning up before much.
Well, I was mainly thinking,
I know.
because of move in, move out, they end up being screwed everywhere, so move that around, no issues. Some of the other.
Any other questions? I want to thank all of you and for also letting your block money permit and also library to your presentation. Really appreciate that, so thank you. And we'll turn this over to zoning committee.
Okay. First applicant is 2283 North High Street, which is, are they here today?
Yep.
Which is the PV building down here. It's a Japanese Oriental restaurant. In short, they want to turn the restaurant back into housing. And variance section 3391.09, initiation of new use. And applicant's James Clark, and yeah, great. Yeah, we share if you don't have that. Yeah.
Rob, just so commissioners know, I've also started linking all of the materials from the agenda. So if you pull up the agenda PDF, you can just click it and it will pull up any information. So you should be able to see it on.
Yeah, appreciate that. That's a huge, yeah.
Used to be my favorite restaurant.
And the applicant will present his case.
Okay.
When I saw the address, I didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
We're working with, for the video,
Hey, could you use the microphone?
I'm sorry.
Right, not
Okay, is that better? We work with the developer, and they've done all the houses that have been there. And this is the last one. We went through all the zoning area commission, another commission too, got all the approvals from everybody. So we said we'd come back to this house because it has a restaurant in it. And they're turning them all back to residential for campus. All of them were, except for the third floor on the building. Second, third floor was already done that way. So all they have to do is get the first floor and back. The parking was all designed when it was a restaurant, and that's more parking than we need for residential, so that got cleared. And now we're doing getting the sign down, basically. Replacing the fire escape on the back of the building. Going back to residential.
Is that it?
That's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. The zoning committee report was, we were all in favor, everyone, we had a smaller group, but I think it was a unanimous vote to approve. And the big part was the parking was actually less was needed for residential. So we did approve it. Is there anyone here to speak on this property for the public, either pro or con? I didn't think so. So with that, let's go to commission discussion. Let's start over here, go around. Eric?
I have no questions. I know Landmarks has a special relationship to the paving development. You confirmed that the
We have a letter from them coming in for the changes.
Let me ask this, this is on the review board, agenda for tomorrow.
Yes.
Good question. And I will be zooming in this meeting, and I'm just curious on the interiors, on the upper floors, were there changes like gutted or just sort of?
It was gutted down to studs, and then we went back, put it all new, there's plaster and, old wiring in there, so they gutted everything down to new engineering, doing pieces, went back in. The, top floor, was, residential, but it wasn't laid out well. So we milled, laid it out, so a lot cleaner, nicer, easier to do.
Yeah, hey, I'm sorry, we usually have you keep track of the questions and answer them afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you only have the one which you've already answered.
That's kind of my fault.
I'm sorry.
My comment is that, we have rare opportunities in this neighborhood to have accessible restaurants that you can go to. Navajo Strip is one of the huge commercial ones that we have. There's one on High Street, there's a little bit of Summit, there's a few places on Fourth and Hudson. And so I, am resistant to, restoring this back to housing. I think that one of the historical places, restaurants, is on campus, and that next to Pascuelos, I think is still an asset and gives us access to some of that historical experience when North and South Campus were torn down for other development opportunities.
I think that answered my own question.
I also need to say, Jeff, those are really charming, I mean, I know that you have to make use of your space, but I was wondering if you tried to market the current tenant was leaving, I believe, if you tried to market as a restaurant. Just curious. Dave? Jared?
I appreciate the sentiment, with regard to the, the few places, charming places, here's about the restaurant. I don't have a qualm about it being returned to residential, mainly because as a restaurant, it's not a very accessible experience, so you're right away, it's not, people in a wheelchair couldn't go there, necessarily based on the existing layout. So I think, it's an appropriate use of the space, just all things considered. I'm sure it's difficult as a restaurant.
Signs are already existing. Piggyback off the comment, it looks like the new centers are on the channel. There's a kitchen on the third floor. So is that a separate unit or is it all
I just echo Justin's question. How many units is this? How many bedrooms for each unit? That's it.
Okay, anyone have any additional, do we need to go around again?
Is there residential in the basement? I see that there's one or two restrooms down there, let's just, guess we're totally away.
Okay, anyone else, second question? Assuming no? Okay, so you can go down the list, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Basement, those restrooms and basements work with the restaurant. They don't have any way around it, they were laid out, so they've been gutted and the basement turns into a utility. No housing, no storage, and that's all.
Thank you.
Third floor did have a living space and it was also used as a bedroom. The unit up there is kind of like a warming kitchen. There'll be more of a bigger kitchen downstairs. They have their own door outside that goes out and back, so they don't really have to come through the house if they want to. So they decided, the developer decided to put a warming kitchen, something simple for them, just a little simple kitchen. They're talking about even changing that now on the third floor. So there was a bedroom area that they had. It was like an open 1-bedroom studio. So, but the 2 areas that are now 2.
So there are 7 bedrooms now.
7 bedrooms. Did we try to market it, or did the developer try to market it as a restaurant? No. They wanted to go back to residential. And the restaurant there only had a capacity seating of 25. And so they wanted it always a residential. So they didn't really try to market it. Increasing bedrooms, we now have 8. Some of these bedrooms had 2 beds in it, so they were shared at one time. We don't know exactly the number, but by the time we got into it, a lot of it was damaged and stuff. We tried to go measure it after a pipe broke and flooded the basement, first floor, and pipe broke on the second floor, so it was couldn't get into it for a while. So we have 8 bedrooms areas in this house. 1 on the first floor, 2 on the third, that's the rest.
Okay, great. That will go to a commission vote.
You already made it.
Okay.
Sorry, just trying to. All right, Julian Dyer. Greg East,
Yes.
Jeremy Davis,
Yes.
Deb Gallagher,
Yes.
Justin Garland,
Yes.
Yeah.
Paul Grotto is, David Evans.
Yes.
Is not here. Tex Calmer,
No.
Katie McDevitt is no. Benjamin McKinley.
Yes.
Demetrius Moore Saunders.
Yes.
Henry Henry.
Yes.
Tim Sulla.
Yes.
Dorian Newhouse. Yes. Steve Waldron.
Yes.
Tom Wildman is not here. Ryan Williams.
Yes.
And 13 yeses. 2 noes. Motion passes.
One abstention.
One abstention, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Looks like that. I'll send the city tomorrow with results.
Okay.
Would you like?
Oh, you can have it. That's what they're here, so, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You don't need them for your meeting tomorrow?
I'll probably do. I think about it.
These are really nice
Yeah, really nice job.
packets.
Thank you.
Appreciate your thoroughness, yeah. All right, and with that, the next case would be 384 East Arcadia. And it is variance section 3332.23, variance to reduce the required minimum 5 foot side yard setback along Arcadia Street. That is, the property is the second house on Arcadia in the Glen Echo area, just right before the bridge. So, it's a brick house.
Thank you.
Yeah, sits behind the alley to the bridge.
What are we doing?
Do you have 7 minutes?
Well, hopefully it won't be out.
Yeah.
So client came to me looking to add a porch space, or an outside space, I should say, to our property. We did we had a property zoned, and we come to find out that it's a very challenging site, setbacks are challenging. Talk to the city about what our options were. Really what she was trying to achieve was, you'll see in the picture, she has a little pergola out there on the side yard, basically the only yard she has on the property. And she wanted more permanent structure. So we took the existing porch that really doesn't match the style of the house and expanded that porch area so that she had a couple chairs and had a better kind of entrance to the property. Since it's such a long house, the little porch just really didn't kind of guide you where you enter the house. So that's kind of the background on how we got to that size and style. It's a weird house. Unfortunately, again, because of the setbacks in most of her yards in the setback in the right of way, we're here tonight for variance to reduce that setback from 5 feet to 3.
Properties
I
around
think so.
being are so funny.
Yeah, they are.
After hearing the case, the vote was unanimous to approve. Wasn't a whole lot of discussion. Was there anyone here from the public for or against? I do think there was an email against sent. Just want to make note of that. Maybe it was a neighbor would have liked to have their input, but they're not here. So with that, no public comment, no one for or against? So commission discussion.
This area is what.
Start Michael,
Okay,
right, start over here.
yeah, start over there. We're still looking.
Eric?
No questions.
No question, really, but I just make the comment that, the zoning committee is used, because of a recent case, is really well aware of the difficulty of the sites here. And I think that, I think kudos for going after this clear improvement on the house and dealing with the fairly tricky stuff. I think that's, if I can, I think that expresses the, the way the zoning committee felt that.
And as I said earlier, I missed the last zoning meeting, but today I broke my button right by there, and I thought, wait, where are these signs? And here it is, and in looking at the plans, to kind of extend the approach out, I think it looks like a really nice improvement.
So I live extremely close to this house and, walking by there constantly, the house is, I mean, it is pressed up against Arcadia. So one of my big concerns is there are already dogs, and the homeowner, I will say, has done a ton to improve the site, and it is a tricky site, so I am super conflicted. I've had a few neighbors ask about this, and I don't know that there's a comfort level from the neighbors, because we have, I mean, if you think about it, I am 5 feet, and to be half of me, of the house to the Arcadia street, where we have a sidewalk that's already pretty swamped, and there's no double strip between the yard and the sidewalk there, and Arcadia is pretty busy, there's a dairy thing across the street, and a lot of kids, a lot of pedestrians, so I am kind of hesitant, and I've been looking at this, I think the architecture looks beautiful, I think it would be a huge improvement, but I think it will right up, will just smash up against the street, so I'm very hesitant to vote for this.
Yeah, I drove by again, and I do agree, it's sort of tight, it's challenged. I think the fact that it's not a huge deck, and it's still a fairly small porch, where it's not gonna become a party palace for the next owner or whatever. You always look what it may morph into, but it's still fairly modest, smaller porch. And
Wow.
also I've weighed the fact that you have a ravine on one side and sort of bridge.
There's just
one
not much.
property, and then
No.
Elvis,
Not much room.
the other side of an
No.
alley. So it's sort of,
It's only 5
as far as the
going
noise
down the road.
level for a bigger.
Yeah.
Sort of, he sits by himself. It's awfully close, but, at least it's still a fairly small porch and a challenge. Lori?
I heard this at zoning committee, and I think, everything that said just that is something I would agree with. Because it's relatively small, ask for a much more legal situation. And it seems to be executed in a very reasonable way for both the neighbor and the client.
When I looked at these drawings, I was just had so much trouble understanding the site and how the house is situated on the site. And it's obviously an awkward, it's like the front of the house is to the ravine, which I get, but then the whole side of the house is what actually faces Arcadia, which is awkward. I think the pictures in Google Street View versus what you have here have clearly shown the owner's intent to improve the structure. It looks like they've made changes to the back addition. I don't know how old that addition is, but I feel like that set them up for some precarious situations like the one they're in now. But support the idea of giving the house more of a presence on Arcadia and making the entry actually feel like the main entry with the addition of the slightly larger porch, so. Support.
I also live near there. I
What is
appreciate
this
Katie's
area?
concern. I think the one thing that
There's this bathroom, it's here.
helps this property is that it's elevated a little bit from the sidewalk and it's also fenced in. I think that is a good distinction when you're so tight to the sidewalk. So
This is the
I'm
connector. What's it connect to?
Garage. You're right.
And all that's
Yes.
this whole,
Here, no.
no
The
comment.
garage is right there. This is probably family room. I don't have anything either.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Do we need to go around again?
Yeah,
Anyone
that's,
else
this
have
is our
anything to add?
club.
No?
Just curious, and this is partially because I'm taking notes, how, what is the length of the structure that's being added? We know the depth that's requested is from 5 feet to 3 feet, but how much of the Arcadia side of the house is being taken up by this?
I would have to see if someone's drawings, I don't know that off the top of my head, sorry. I believe there's some dimensions on there, but let me just take a quick look.
16.
It's,
Oh, I thought you meant.
it's about 16 feet wide,
Yeah.
or parallel to Arcadia. And, the house jogs, so it's about 5 feet 6 on one side and about, 8 feet on the other side. Just because of the way the house jogs. So if you want to say 8 by 16, that's fine, it's a little more than what it is actually. Sorry for me to address.
Well, actually, we should have felt that. Anyone else have any other? Okay. So with that, you could answer those questions
Yeah, I think,
in 3 minutes.
yeah, the only real question I had was mainly from Katie.
Make that.
Sorry, I couldn't see it. I would just point out that, the third picture, if you look at the third, blown up color picture of the brick wing walls that you see there on the existing porch, our porch is not going past the brick wing walls. So I don't know if there's gonna be any, change or perceived change as people are walking by there, with the exception of, it's gonna be for sure a larger structure, but it's not gonna encroach any further than those brick wing walls. As you see in the picture. I don't think there were any other questions, but I tried to write it down.
So did anyone have any other question that we're forgetting? No? And, thanks for pointing out the wall. Almost curved. Fence. So, okay, with that, let's take a commission vote.
Jillian Dyer. Yes. Eric East.
Yes.
Jeremy Davis.
Yes.
Doug Gallagher.
No.
Justin Garland.
Yes.
Seth Fullerton.
Yes.
Squally Grotto is not here. David Hegler.
Yes.
Sage Jenkins is not here. Michael Palmer.
Yes.
Katie McDevitt, yes. Benjamin McKinley.
Yes.
Demetrius Moore Saunders.
Yes.
Kevin Pangrace.
Yes.
Leilon Sellers is not here. Tim Sutcliffe.
Yes.
Lori Noah Sauer. Yes. Steve Waldron.
Yes.
Tom Wildman is not here. Brian Williams.
Yes.
That is 16 yes, 1 no.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I'll also send that to the city tomorrow.
Great, thanks.
Great. Here you go.
Good explanation of that helps kind of align my.
Oh, appreciate it.
Yeah, I just forgot about that. So the next case is 118 West Ninth Street, applicant Justin Garland. Sounds familiar. And it's a property on Ninth that he will tell us about. It's lot coverage, parking, floor area ratio, height, and side yard. Reduced side yard, similar to the last one. Doreen is recusing herself, that's why she left. And for the zoning committee, Doreen, Pasquale, and Justin all three had to recuse their vote since they are partners in life.
Doreen Pasquale and Justin Hall.
Yeah, they had to recuse themselves. So we were thinking that we didn't have a quorum, and we were gonna make a recommendation.
Oh, it's 3 units.
Reach out to Dave Huey with the city, the city attorney, who said that with the refusals out of the
Oh, this is
picture,
3rd floor.
quorum dropped to 3, and we just needed 2. And so we didn't have a quorum, and it was unanimous, 3 votes after Brian wasn't there and Zeta wasn't there. So we had a shorter committee attendance, and then with 3 out of the mix, we only had 3. But it was unanimous, and the city said that it was in fact a quorum, and the zoning committee approved.
It's good to know going forward. Sure we'll be in this situation again.
Right.
And then just for clarity on my end, are we voting on all 5 of these together, or are we voting on them separately?
All 5 together.
Yeah, that's what we did in zoning. So if you got your stuff handed out, you have 7 minutes for your presentation.
If you all recall, I was here a few months ago to finish the lot split. Previously, this lot was attached to the building next door, which is an existing 1970s building. There was a house on this before, it was demolished around that time, 70s and 80s, and sitting vacant since. So I completed the lot split then. We got some of the variances approved that were necessary for it. Now I'm back to propose the project for the site. It's going to be 3 units, 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths each unit, for a total of 12 beds.
It's a vacant lot.
Not gonna be there.
Yeah.
Like said, I'm going for 5 variances tonight. The first being lot coverage, is to increase the maximum lot coverage from 30% to 39.5%. To reduce the parking from 14 spaces to 8 spaces. The floor area ratio from 0.6 to increase it to 0.82. And the height is average 26 feet. There is a eave cornice that's going around, it's more of a detailed piece, it's gonna be 6 inches above the 35-foot height. And then to reduce the side yard from 5.4 feet minimum to 3 feet proposed. That's really all I have.
With that, is there anyone from the public here to speak pro or con about the project?
I will add, actually, we've been to the IDRB twice now. The main comments were just about some of the exterior finishing materials and some of the colors that we had chosen. So we'll be going back to the UIDRB tomorrow for our third meeting.
And as I stated before, I wanted to clarify about the short staff, short committee with the refusal. It was unanimous vote, and we approved all 5. So with that, no public comment. Let's open it up to commissioner discussion.
Did the AC condensers issue ever come up?
I asked
Pasquale asked that.
Yeah.
Eric, what did you say?
Oh, there was a question about the AC condensers and replacement at the zoning meeting. Pasquale asked if they were encroaching upon. Any push the property line of mitigation?
Kids.
Don't mention it. Try to address the chair.
Forgive me.
Tim?
I don't have any questions, but I want to expand a little bit on what you said about the view board. you mentioned the suggestions you made, but they also, I think, the reviews have been very positive. There is there was a real pleasure expressed about the design and proportion, the way it fits the site. Actually, the discussions moved fairly quickly from the kind of zoning issues that we have to design issues already, which I think in terms of the review board is a pretty good indication that, along with the staff recommendation, that tomorrow they are ready to approve the variances. I personally think it's exceptionally well suited, not only to the site and the shape, but also to the buildings on either side of it in a way that's not, it's a little unexpected in the way it relates, but I think particularly the sketch you have of the three facades shows, I think, a really interesting relationship.
Tim just poured a while through here, a couple of things. Chief and Brian.
This meeting is kind of looking over and like he said.
Dave?
No.
I really don't have any comments. It looks, I like the history of Buckeye Road. They don't go crazy. They don't overpack. It seems tastefully done.
I want to echo, Seth and Tim's sentiment. Like, I really appreciate the level of design and quality work that Buckeye Real Estate has put in, not just to this project, but just about every project we've seen from them recently. It seems to fit into the character of the site extremely well, matching, heights and just elevating the street to another level compared to, the gravel parking lot that might be there and its adjacent structures.
Yeah.
Great improvement. I like a parking lot.
No questions.
My question is just one of a general kind. I noticed that even with the last project, everybody wants to move as close as they can to their neighbors. I think the 5-foot property line is a good rule of thumb, although I don't like that term, that we should keep to. And it seems like everybody just wanting to keep encroaching closer and closer and closer to their neighbors. Let's go from 5 to 3. It's only a 2 foot, difference, but we're just squeezing a little bit more on the lot. I just am against changing the current dimensions of, what things are taking up, especially, taking up the coverage, from, it doesn't sound that bad when you say 30% to 39, but you're talking about 1,800 square foot to almost 2,400 square foot. That, to me, making that for the whole lot, from 5 foot between the buildings to 3 foot just seems excessive. Not that it's just you. It's common with
I don't have anything.
We zip around again. Anything? Eric? Tim? Brian? Dave? Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm not trying to make it's not my MO lately to disagree with Deb.
Oh, God, yes, it is.
All I want to state is that the zoning regulations and the setbacks and everything that we have are really designed for a suburban environment, and they're forced upon the urban environment that we live in. So hopefully the zoning code update will address a lot of those things. Because I don't disagree that maybe, granting a variance for every single thing that comes to us seems like overkill, but I also don't think that the current zoning code takes into account the realities of the fact that almost every house that's built in this area now is non-conforming, would be non-conforming if you looked at the underlying zoning code.
I'd also like to, I sort of agree with you on that. When they start taking less than 3, which it seems like these carriage houses, they want to put lot line, in an alley where fire trucks could put out the fire, those structures. But yeah, I tend to agree, but at least you still have 3 feet. Yeah, I mean, in my way, but I understand, yeah.
How wide's the table? So my house is gonna be here, yours is gonna be there.
Well, to be fair.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just in general conversation, since,
Yeah, no.
I mean, I don't like, I live here for a reason instead of Chicago. I don't wanna be like this next to my neighbor. I would at least have, some personal space. Well, I'm just,
Okay, let's,
Sorry.
the Beatrice, do you have? No. No?
No.
Yeah. Deb or Michael? Nothing?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So with that, you have 3 minutes to,
For Eric's question, the condensers, I spoke to my architect this morning, he said that there is nothing in the code about the location of condensers. But just as a side note, we always elevate them off the ground, so there will be that clearance.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It reduces the chance of them being stolen, which can have a significant amount, so. Yes. For Deb, the side yard, the building code only requires 3 feet for what that's worth. The zoning, as Jeremy had touched on, does require more than that because it is somewhat antiquated. Also, if you look to the house to the east, which was built circa 1900, it is probably less than 3 feet from the property line. The FAR, I think it's really congruent with a lot of the other buildings on the street. If you go up and down the north side of West 9th Avenue, there's a ton of this product that's been built over the years. I do think that this is a higher quality than a lot of that. And also the FAR, the lots are unusually deep for urban neighborhoods. They're 160 feet. So there's a lot of space on the lot. We still hit all of our backyard requirement that we needed. So.
okay, is that it?
That's it.
Still have, time left? Okay. Well, with that, let's go to the commission vote.
All right,
And this is for all 5 lumped together.
Julie Bear. Yes. Eric East.
Yes.
Jeremy Davis.
Yes.
Deb Gallagher.
Yes.
Justin Garland.
Oh,
yes. Thank you. Zach Gold.
Yeah.
Pasquale Grotto is not in attendance. David Higley.
Yes.
David Jenkins is not in attendance. Michael Kellner.
Yes.
Katie McDevitt is a yes. Benjamin McKinley.
Yes.
Demetrius Moore Saunders.
Yes.
Kevin Cambridge.
Yes.
Ray Wan is not here. Tim Sullett.
Yes.
Dory Yoha Sauer. Ray Hughes. Correct. Got it. Steve Waldron.
Yes.
Tom Wildman is not here. Brian Williams.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes with 14 votes.
And 2 recusals.
14 yeses, 2 recusals.
Yeah. You didn't count his yes. Right.
Who's yes?
He did vote yes.
You
You're
did
trying to
not.
sneak one in.
Oh, don't joke with me.
No.
You can't vote.
Well, I
Swallow's
was.
not here, so he wouldn't count it.
Right.
So 2 recusals.
Yes.
Justin?
Yes, correct. Well, but he did say yes. He can be sure.
And you get this correct.
That's 16.
It is correct. 14 yes, 2 refuse.
Right.
Thank you for the real answer.
Thank you all.
Motion passes.
That was terrifying.
My brain is soggy. I've been taking notes.
Okay, so that will be, for the. He's got a gallon.
Okay, when you're gardening, there's the little, that bamboo, and after the storm, it all kind of fell over. My camera.
Oh my God.
Because I'm walking along. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I can grab it.
You know, the bamboo is just really high, and when it rains, like it has, it gets heavy, and it lays over, and it takes it a few days to stand back up. So I was coming out, I'm trying to get to the garage, and I'm walking through all this bamboo, and I'm like, I got to tell somebody to get this stuff trimmed back. I never thought about dropping bugs on me. Yeah, this bamboo seems like it's so light and airy.
We'll go ahead and looking for the city's assets to do. Now we're looking at what are the CP for writing candidates. And how we handle those. So that's kind of the gist of our discussion last time. So we're putting together some language around that, and hopefully we'll be doing some along the zoning bylaw changes that are
And David, who did you say you only were?
It's just a.
Okay. Planning and development, we continued our conversation, first on the logistics of the UAC 50th anniversary, and thank you, Nora, who kind of vetted WOSU as a possible location and got a positive response from their team. So I think we look to explore that a little bit more seriously and talk about how we're gonna fund the party. We decided that there's gonna be appetizers and then some drinks, beer, wine, water, maybe some soda, liquor. The attendance, we would hope to get 100 to 200 in total, and then that's gonna be a mix of residents. We really want to reach out to all populations that live within the district, as well as potentially city council and other supporting Columbus leaders. And so then we took the rest of the time. Doreen brought in the archives. There were just absolutely beautiful photos, and it was much, I think we had a month prior, we had a bunch of photos that Nora brought in, but these were kind of organized into giant notebooks and documented really well. So we kind of talked a little bit about themes for the party coming up.
Anything else, Katie?
Did I forget something? That's it. Yes.
Community relations, Michael.
Okay. We met last week. We had three pieces of business. Number one, the camera. We are going to leave the camera and the equipment to broadcast these meetings back there in the room, and just in case someone doesn't show up, Ben or I don't show up. The camera will still be here so someone can record it. We are broadcasting tonight. No one's watching because we haven't told them to watch, but we tested it tonight and it is broadcasting. So hopefully this will continue next month, and we will send out notices on the Facebook how to watch it. That would be nice, but I wanted to do a test run first. Website update. Jeremy has been working on the new website. However, he's discovered the one we have now is really, really bad as far as information. I mean, everything on there is pretty much out of date. So he decided it would probably, and we decided at the meeting, it would probably be a good thing for him to go through and fix all the information, update all the information. Meanwhile, and their name just flew out of my mind. Who's going to do who are you and Doreen talking to? Neighborhood Design Center, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully we will have them, Neighborhood Design Center, work on our new website, or we may, depending on what their version of the new Columbus website is going to look like, we may just switch to that and use that. But Jeremy's going to continue to get rid of the old information on our current website.
I'm sorry I don't know if I can add something here technically.
Sure.
Or not, but so I've been just going through each page, making sure that that there's not information linked to in multiple places that links to like dead links. Also trying to update the commissioner's website page, so you'll see, like, if you go to commissioners now, it's an actual up-to-date list of all of the commissioners with who they're representing, where and when they serve through. I've started to look at the committee's page. We're just trying to overall simplify it. In addition to that, I did reach out to Deb Subalak, who gave me the login information for MailChimp.
Oh.
So we should be able to start resurrect our mailing list.
That would be great.
Yeah. So I think we're making a lot of good movement on
Yes.
these relations.
Yeah, at least a lot of the old information is gone, which is good. We're slowly figuring out how to fix that website. It's difficult, some of the stuff.
Deb did a lot to get it up and go, so she might have, other information
Oh.
that you need to ask.
Maybe she knows how to replace the photos on the front page. Okay.
I ran into her husband.
Okay. Great. Well, that's a good source.
Are you guys able to tell how many people are visiting your website?
I couldn't, so I looked in the back end
Probably.
on
I don't
WordPress and
know.
I couldn't, but I think we were hosted through a company called Bluehost. And so I have not yet gone to look there to see, but that was, Catherine and I had talked about that being, a decision point. Depending on the number of hits we get, we could utilize that in the discussion about whether or not to continue our website.
Sure.
Or just focus on the CBUS Area Commission's website.
Mhm.
And Catherine, thank you. She did confirm that we are able to spend commission money on our website. So we had
Okay.
previously been told that we weren't able
Okay.
to continue to do
Yeah.
that. But that's
And I'll follow up with neighborhood design, because I said I was gonna follow up with you. I think that the current CBUS is gonna be very similar. One complaint was like that you have to keep scrolling,
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're gonna create tabs, so there's
Oh.
not that scrolling feature. But I will reach out to, what's the woman's name, neighborhood design? I will reach out to her tomorrow, I just wrote it down and follow up with you.
Okay. And if you don't mind, Michael, since he's the chair, I just, when I was working on it, I had.
Sure. No, that's cool.
Hey,
You're fine.
Give me the download on this.
It's fine. Okay. One more thing. Thirdly, we had Stephen Goldmeyer, resident of the University District, attend the meeting to discuss communication that we have, that this commission has with City Council mainly. He suggested that we should communicate residents' concerns more, because that's kind of what we do. We're here to voice concerns from the neighborhood, not just ourselves, which is a good point. Also, the committee, the Community Relations Committee, is supposed to come up with monthly summations of what we do, what the University Area Commission does. So we're going to start doing that. Since we haven't had a committee in several years, we obviously haven't been doing that. I think in the past they did newsletters or something. We're probably just going to do monthly summations of what we pass, as far as zoning committee stuff for City Council, and forward that on to City Council and whoever, maybe UIDRB and other officials. But we're going to talk about that at the next meeting. He also asked that we inform City Council of our decisions and opinions of residents which Jeremy is going to introduce a memo in the next section of the meeting, doing just that. It's basically just a memo with the minutes attached from the meeting so they can read them themselves. So we can be sure, and it has the residents' comments on it. That's why he wanted to do it that way. And we're going to vote on that at the next portion of the meeting. Sure.
So Harrison is the liaison for city council, so I would also talk with him. I don't want you guys to have to do more work.
Okay.
You know, that's part of his job is to take things back to city council.
Okay.
So I would loop him in this conversation.
Okay.
And ask him, you know, possibly have him take notes, include you guys, so that you're not having to do another thing when that's his job.
Okay. Okay.
And I can speak to him about that too.
Okay. It was really to make sure city council is aware of what the neighborhood, how the neighborhood feels. Okay, thanks. That's good to know. Yeah.
Okay, so for Board of Elections, we are not constituted until today, which there was maybe something that we were. But I need members of the commission to participate in the Board of Elections. So far, I have 4 of us, including myself. Doreen has agreed to serve. Kevin has agreed to serve, as well as Deb. So we just need a 4th member of the commission to participate. And again, I think when I sent out the meeting agenda, I noted who was not eligible to participate. But we'll just have quick 30-minute meetings. We can typically wrap up all of the business we need to do within 30 minutes on a monthly basis. Our first meeting will be in July, and I'll be in touch with those of you on the Board of Elections to determine monthly meeting times. But I'd like to try to do that on the same night as other committee meetings. So please, one more person, be brave and let me know. Awesome, thank you. We don't have to limit it at 5. If anybody else is interested, we can accept it, but I appreciate it. Yes, thank you all.
Okay, well, you're lucky you got the thing, yes. Treasurer's report, I'm sorry, district concerns. I can't believe this, but we're actually almost at one.
Wow.
If we can have announcements, I'd like to make
District concerns. I'm sorry. The construction at 7th and High is such a drag. They're parking up and down, all the construction workers park up and down the street now and throw trash in everybody's yard because they eat lunch outside on the streets. It's a real drag. Anyway, that's it.
Not really. I just wanted to mention if anybody had known that Bob Fletcher passed away on Monday. And they'll have a private funeral and probably some type of beer bash later on. He was a long-term resident that lived on Frambies. He was a treasurer of the community association at the time of his death. So.
No, and 315. It's just, it starts this way every week, and alleys, people just go through and empty the dumpsters. That's, 315 is supposedly taking care of it, and they have visited.
Is this still the result of about abandonment and this is just spring time now?
This is spring time, yeah.
No talk about creating a community organizing or trying to pay forward those issues.
Haven't come to that. We only talked to 311.
Nothing exciting.
Nothing exciting, at least. So, to Michael's point on community relations, Stephen was there, he's here tonight, and, we had discussed, the need to let city council have a broader understanding of the discussion that we have at meetings, whereas the facts of the case that we voted on pertained to the zoning case in particular. So the standardized recommendation form that submitted was not wrong, but it wasn't a complete record of the conversation. So I wanted to, knowing that we didn't have time at community relations to form the language for a motion, and knowing that this case is likely going to city council very soon, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to introduce a motion at this meeting. So I'm going to read it, but you all have it in front of you so that you understand what I'm asking us to do. But I would like to make a motion to send a memo from the University Area Commission to members of Columbus City Council Zoning Committee, including Chair Rob Dorns and members Bankston, Bariso Padilla, Brown, Favor, Ramey, and Hardin, and their staffs regarding zoning case Z22-065 and council variance case CV 22-087 at 50 West Lane Avenue. The language of the proposed memo is below. To Chairperson Dorns and members of the Zoning Committee of Columbus City Council, the University Area Commission heard the cases Z22-065 and CV 22-087 regarding 50 West Lane Avenue at our February Commission meeting on February 15, 2023. After the applicant presentation, input from the public, and commissioner discussion, the commission voted against the requested rezoning and variances by a vote of 10 against to 6-4. The standardized recommendation form submitted to the Department of Building and Zoning Services noted that height and density remain the main concerns. While height and density were the main concerns discussed, attached to this memo are the minutes from our February meeting. All information regarding this case is highlighted so that council might understand the broader discussion as well as the comments and concerns raised by the public. Thank you, University Area Commission. And this again is just to highlight the broader discussion, but all I did was take the minutes that we've approved already and highlighted the specific case information, which included Seth's report out as well as the public comments, both for and against, and then all of the commissioner comments, as well as the continued discussion from the applicant and the vote. I didn't feel like I didn't want to try to propose, like I didn't want to put, I wanted to make it factual, not subjective, so that's why we thought that just sending a snippet of the meeting minutes to those members of council was the best approach, since we didn't have another mechanism for doing that. But so that's what I'm proposing. David, I don't know if I'm doing this wrong or any which way, but
when you said snippet of the meeting minutes, I mean, this is all of it.
This is all of the meeting minutes
So
related
it's
to
not
the
a
case.
snippet, it's the meeting
This
minutes.
is just related to the case.
Correct.
Just right
Yeah.
to the zoning.
Well, that's the case.
Yes, it's everything that's everything related to the case.
Well, no, truly.
Well, yeah.
David, we have a motion that we proposed, we would need a second on it.
Second.
Is there anything you want to add?
Now, it's motion on discussion, so each
Motion on discussion. So, why don't you start on that? And Mike?
Sure.
Stand by, real quick while I just like make sure minutes.
It's like,
I just need one second.
So that you can take notes.
Okay.
Okay, so you're okay, so you start to roll it up.
Okay.
All right, and David, your time. So Michael, why don't you start with your?
Sure. I know this is a little awkward. It's probably not the best way to handle this, but considering the time crunch, because city council is going to vote on this soon. I don't know when. But considering the time, we don't have time to have another meeting of the committee to come up with something better, put it that way. So Jeremy came up with this plan, which I think is really good, and it's a good way to handle it. In the future, hopefully, we'll come up with something else, but considering all the factors, this is probably the best way to do it. There is also nothing new in here. You've already seen everything and approved everything already. The only thing that's new is the very short paragraph on the front. So there's not really, I don't think there's much question as to what you should do. Deb? No, I'm done.
I'm not quite sure what good this is going to do. I mean, I'm just saying, if I were a city council member, I would read the first thing, but I don't think I'd go through here and read all this read every one of the highlighted comments, where most of them aren't really germane to anything in particular. I mean, I realize we're under a time crunch, but I think if we're going to be proactive and do anything, maybe making a more statement, like this is what the neighborhood said over the last few meetings, go through, and there were comments by the public at several meetings. And I think, maybe saying these are some of the public comments we got, and the main concern was about Blackstone being part of it, and just leave it at that rather than attaching something that, I think is a waste of paper.
Yeah, I think Deb is mostly right. I think you are. I think
Can you
it's
quit
worthwhile
recording?
if possible to change.
No, I
the
did.
memo
Oh, okay.
to
We're still recording.
highlight Blackstone. I know zoning, the zoning
my
concerns were height density, but there was a broader discussion both in the community and by the commission about Blackstone. So I think you can word it so you're highlighting that it wasn't a concern with the zoning variances, it was a larger concern about the project and the developers.
I think that was wrong.
I am glad I'm so.
I'm justifying, does this have the petitioners or the public comments in here?
As they were reported on Katie.
So I think strengthen the first paragraph to do a couple of bulleted items saying that these were major concerns, and then you've got a whole summary on the first page, but I think it's important to have the highlighted as well. And Deb is not.
I just have a question. Is this the only public comments that came to the meeting and not the ones that emailed in?
There's a note that we received 3 emails.
Okay. But other than that, I kind of second what everybody else says too as well, that I have an extra summary on top. I feel both sides, and I think, me personally, if I see something highlighted, I read it. That's just me. But there are people that are going to look at this and just see pages.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the sentiment about highlighting some of the actual issues. What I was trying to avoid doing though was creating a position paper that might feel like it was coming from the commission when we hadn't actually discussed creating a position paper at this point. Not that we won't and can't and shouldn't, but that's why I left it as vague as possible in the memo and just pointed directly toward the meeting minutes. Because I didn't think it was likely to get passed by the commission if we went into all the detail in the memo versus just pointing to the factual piece of information that's already public already been voted to approve the meeting minutes, so it's already in existence. So that's why I did it that way, but I don't disagree with what you're all suggesting at all. Having said that, if we tried to do that now, it's not something that I think we could pass tonight, which is the ultimate push for me at least, and I know for our community members, was to get something in front of our counselors before they announce a meeting to vote on it.
I have no objection to this at all. I think it's a little unusual that we would vote this route, but that doesn't make it a negative way. I think it's an extension of what they already know. And I think that this doesn't contradict anything that had been sanctioned by staff for zoning. But it does show, I think, a greater sense of due diligence on our part to city council. And should they choose to read it, fine. If they choose not to read it, we can't control that. And so I certainly support this.
I guess I would just add that I think at this point, this is probably the rest of the community last time. So I'll make it related.
I think this is the best way to do it. It's what Katie has put down as our official minutes. That is, I mean, she works hard at it. She's pretty darn inclusive. It's chock full of every speaker's sentiments about Blackstone, what have you. It's keeping us objective. It's not putting our narration, our slant, which we shouldn't do. It's the people that came and spoke. I agree with Catherine. Why would we even want to do another layer of a synopsis summary when we're smarter, not harder? She's already done the exhaustive work. It's the record of our meeting. It's all there. And if they don't read it, then that's that they're wanting information. I know Doran's office is, wanting, so it's there. And I think they will read it on this case. And all the other bigger cases, the council variances, we should probably include the minutes on all of them. And not do some other layer of work for volunteers that are already doing that.
That's a good point.
Right, Michael?
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where that is coming from, and I could see some of the city council members not going through this whole thing. But I will also say that, I haven't been here as long as a lot of people, but this one case brought out so much more of the community and conversations from the community. And I will tell you that I try to bring up the UAC and the council of graduate students, and pretty much every time it's like re-educating. I'm like, well, I said this last month, so let's just go over this again. This is the local city council that meets in this area. This is the one case where people came up to me to ask me about it, to ask me what was going on in the UAC, what city council was doing, and which has been updated from the CGS governance committee as well, because they track city council bills and stuff like that. So I definitely think because of how much the community is talking about this and thinking about this and wants to talk about this, that making sure that we're pushing that forward as well as the UAC and other city members is a good thing.
Katie, your thoughts?
Okay, I mean, this is what we're here for, right? We're here to represent the community, and people were passionate about this, whether it was on Reddit, in email, in person, they came again and again and again, because they were jarred by the Blackstone has a disgusting reputation. And we are here to vote on the variances themselves, but I think the reputation of this Blackstone as a corporate funder, and then also of as a manager, where they've been known to inflate rents and then not maintain the buildings, we don't want to see that here. And I think that it's hard because the variances go with the land, so we cannot judge the landlord for the variances that go with the land. But I think that we have to represent the people in the community. So I'm excited that, I think I have to commend Stephen who, you've been attending every single meeting, whether it's planning, whether it's zoning, whether it's whatever, you've been here. And I think that this is just showing to our community that they are important and we are of them. So I think that this just reiterates that. And I think that it's city council's job to read it, whether they feel like it or not, they're paid, we're not. So if they don't read it, I think that it's offensive. So that's where I'm at.
I would be willing to vote in support of this. However, I do agree with some of the things that were raised, there's a lot of things that come across the council members' desks, and I think, we're in the newspaper game, we would call this burying the lead. Our preamble here does not get to the point. And like I said, I would vote in support of this, but I would prefer that it had said something like, we understand that we are here, that our purpose is to vote on things, affected by the zoning code. But as representatives of the people of the University District, we need to let you know that these things that don't fit in our purview are still relevant, are still important, and you need to know these. And I think it should specifically mention Blackstone and the highlighted points, because I just did a quick glance through here, and there were at least a dozen specific references to Blackstone, and I think all the stuff that is highlighted, but in addition to that, highlighted Blackstone. Anything to make it easier to get the attention of the council members.
Let me just quickly say that I think that mention of highlighting some of the references to Blackstone can be really helpful. I don't think we're going to come up with a perfect document, but hearing Jeremy talk about his rationale for how he did it, I strongly agree with the approach he took at this time. I do think maybe between zoning and governance that we should look at this as a broader issue on how we address this. When something special is needed, I'm not sure it's every council variance, but I think that I think we can use this to prepare ourselves to put together what we think is a really effective document, and I am certainly in support of this.
Having been seated right at this table in the middle of all of this, it's still green, it's some terms. If I could just somebody could clarify, a council variance basically overrides our vote, is that correct?
Mhm.
And will this be a public vote the council will be holding?
Mhm.
So I have to imagine that the community will show up to that council vote that's overriding our vote here, is that correct? Am I reading this right, the process?
Yeah, but they hold it during the day when people are at work.
Well, yes, but it is a public hearing, yes?
It is, I think there's a max of three.
Can I comment that our vote's a recommendation to
Yes.
the council, so it's not really being overridden
Okay.
by it is
Just being dismissed.
Yes,
No,
yes.
It's a recommendation to that process, which they can either take or not. But it's not, it's not like our roles being nullified if they don't,
And in this particular case, city council, I think, because it's been before us 3 months.
Yeah.
They want to know, I do think they will read this, and I think Katie's putting down every speaker, they will read it.
And we can go around again.
Can I just finish real quick?
Yeah, sorry.
One person's perspective is
Yeah, sorry.
The reason I bring up all of the public hearings is I have to assume that the community will show up to that public hearing because that one is the one that counts. I think it's important that UAC's effort which Jeremy's done here, is great. I think that the community voice is important to be put in the record. And as Katie said, this is their job to read it. If they don't read it, they're up for reelection. And it's issues like this, that if this would be entered into public record, that the community was speaking against it, and a council member was in some way negligent towards that, that council member would then have to answer to the public. I mean, clearly, this whole room was packed with concerned citizens. And that's important. I mean, that, to me, I think this is a good thing, to push this forward and to make an effort to recognize the community input, not just the community's input, because that was something to see from my perspective.
Agreed. I don't think the minutes alone convey that there were that many people there and that it was a very long meeting. That was the first meeting I attended. It's like how I even ended up coming here to begin with. Would it be, I don't know how this works because I'm also new, but is it possible to send a representative to the city council meeting from here to explain to them why we sent them this?
Can I address that later after we have the discussion?
Yeah.
Anything else you're thinking?
No, I was just, if we could do that, it would maybe give better context without necessarily taking it.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, but it would be easier, but you gotta really to say what they want to say first. Let's go around again quickly. If you have something that we have not heard yet from anyone, or if you just want to comment on someone else's comment saying, I agree with first of it when they said, but Michael was saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna point out, like, quickly, you still have 3 minutes.
Okay. I agree that this would have been better written more as a memo and not just minutes. However, I started to write it out and it was going to be very difficult because I got through height. There were comments about height, but then forming the other comments from just the minutes was very difficult. What else was I going to say? And hopefully we won't do this again, but we'll have something else in place. And I think meeting with governance and zoning, and I can be there too, to try to figure out how we can address this in the future is a good idea. I think that's it.
I agree with what Michael is saying. And Demetrius, I also read things that are highlighted, but when every word on a page is highlighted, I seem to overlook that. So, you know, maybe just, I guess it's more format than anything else that I'm concerned with. I don't think the format's useful, but like you said, we're under time constraints, so.
And please remember, we need to speak up in this room because the sound goes right up. So if you start trailing off, the rest of us don't hear you.
Well, I don't hear you anytime you speak. So. Your voice is so, I don't think you can talk loud enough.
Yeah, I'll just add that, you know, I like the idea of the minutes because the vote was 10-6. So there were people that supported it. And so I don't think a memo really hot going all in on Blackstone would be a good representation of the community. I do think it would be important to highlight that that was a part of the conversation. I would say almost at the same level as the high density conversations.
I would just say, I second Eric too as well, me coming in and not really knowing anything about what we do here as far as the voting and everything. I think this opens up another discussion on us being somewhat other people's voice and us having to vote only on variances. It kind of blurs the lines for me a lot of times too as well, because again, with this situation, we were voting against them building the building because of who the property owners were going to be. And now we have to vote yes on variances because they meet the requirements. So I just would love to have another discussion on figuring out what we can do in the future that actually let the people know their voices are being heard and or not. kind of just excluding them as of what you were saying about the city council, just a little less. So, but that's it.
I think as a member of the public, I could have called attention to the meeting minutes and sent them to them on my own. I did not want to do that because I didn't want to, imply that I was representing the whole commission, which is why I went this route in terms of, putting a memo. I think if I had sent that, maybe they would look at it, maybe they would. I think sending a memo from the commission that the commission has voted on to send to them, in addition to the zoning case information, was the way we needed to approach this right now. And, again, I don't disagree that I think we should have that I could have highlighted more things, but I was quite frankly just trying to be as benign as possible. The only reason I called out height and density on this was because that's specifically what the standardized recommendation form submitted mentioned. It didn't mention anything else. So I was really, in the time that we had to get something done, I was really trying to craft something benign enough that the commission felt comfortable voting on with no time to really talk about it. But hope that, we can continue the conversation as others have suggested to really find a better way to incorporate public comment and feedback into our submission, whether it be, a hybrid of this with the zoning standardized recommendation or something. But again, and I thank David for saying, I think this is the best we could do with the limited time and without really trying to delay the effort until our July meeting. We're just discussing it at committees and just didn't think we had the time because they literally can put out that 5-day notice at any point and then vote on it 5 days later, and you have to rush to be, one of the public commenters. That's why I went this route. I just thought the memo from the commission with the motion that was voted on by the full commission would bear more weight than me doing it individually.
I think the timing on this actually is quite fortuitous. If you read the Sunday Dispatch and then followed by the Monday, there was a two-part lack of affordable housing for students. And it was pretty much in depth. And then also the second article featured the Scholar House, where they don't give the address, which is actually on the east side, in which there is a consortium of groups who provide housing for students who are also parenting and are single parents and trying to finish. And this topic actually came up at the community roundtable, which was last Tuesday, in talking with off-campus Michelle's group about lack of intergenerational housing opportunities that other universities provide, which keeps the cost low on their tuition and provides essentially dormitory space where on different floors senior citizens live and young people, undergrads live, and it becomes kind of a co-op situation. And these are not for a very large university, and certainly a city that should be concerned about affordable housing. What's happening with students and young people is really falling by the wayside. So I think it's timely, and I agree that this was a good and simple way to bring it forward, and maybe the timing is better than we think it is. I love it when you read Robert's Rules of Order.
It makes me nervous, quite frankly.
Yeah, really.
I'm just waiting for you guys. I'm waiting for when you want to change that motion.
I'm gonna know, we're not changing the motion.
Someone tries.
That's why it's benign as possible, so that it wasn't triggering any,
Yeah. That is, I mean, I think when you said that when you tried to write a synopsis, it was very hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to do because, then you're being judge and jury.
Yes.
Explaining it, your position can be different than Deb's.
Yes.
And it's not our job, it's to represent the people who spoke. And as Catherine said, Katie writes every speaker the synopsis, and a pretty lengthy synopsis of each one. It's the raw, unabridged version. I think that's the best way to do it. And as far as the standardized form, there's not much room.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept it to zoning. I don't know Blackstone. I'm assuming these things are true. I married a woman named Blackstone. Now, other than that, I don't know anything. I mean, it could be, and I don't want to, and I think the minutes is a good reflection of what the speakers, and I think every one of them that spoke should be, I think the minutes is the best way to do it. I think you sort of touched on, it's hard to pick and choose.
Yes.
I think we have gone over the memo backwards and forwards. I did want to say, yeah, it is definitely a tough thing to go to Brian's point about like a sparing need or something. I think at least for right now, for this one, I agree that we're not trying to bury legal, we're trying to make it as possible, especially since we don't have an established, like, for these larger cases with some public interest and some conversation about it, we don't have a standardized way
What do they need?
to talk.
Saturday.
To
Beer.
the city, to my understanding, so we're trying to do it in a way that
I'm leaving for Virginia.
meets the current situation, but then also improve, because
I'll probably go Friday and Sunday for
OSU
contest.
continues to, add in 50,000 students, and Columbus is expecting to add a couple 100,000 residents in the next like 5+ years. We're gonna have more conversations and more of these kinds of building projects coming. So moving forward, having some sort of basis to work off of is great, and I think at least right now, this will definitely do what it needs to do.
I mean, I think we all agree. So no comment.
Yay!
I personally think it's too benign, but I am fully prepared to vote yes.
I just want to say, I think Demetrius, I really appreciate you bringing up the voice of the public, because this is the place in the whole process. This is the level at which the public has the most input. And while I have to say, I've always really come out on the side of fairly strict zoning issues. I think now, my consciousness has been raised about this. I think to find a way to document the public context for the zoning issue decision, in addition to it, is something that we can, I think, have a really positive impact if we work out a way and polish a way to do that.
Yes, again, thank you, Demetrius, you said it perfectly. The line is blurred between voting on a zoning variance and listening. And I was standing on that blurred line on my vote, because I felt that the zoning variance was one issue, and this whole group of community people still sitting behind me had a completely different agenda, and I didn't know where to fall. And I've been thinking about it a lot for the past several months, every time I drive by Lincoln High. So maybe it's something for another time, a clarification, when we do have a community concern, and how does that stack up against the zoning, a simple zoning, not even simple, but zoning variances which have their own requirements, up against a community concern, and us being the voice of the community, or at least a sounding board for the community, or a conduit for the community. I don't know how we can contextualize all that. Or maybe you guys have been doing it all along, I just don't know that.
Yeah, definitely agree that finding a solid way to communicate community input would be good. And back to your original point was assuming that people will be able to go to the city council public hearing is one, they're never set at times when people can go. And two, they don't care half the time what people say. I have spoken at many city council meetings and I have gotten a pat on the head. That thanks for your advocacy, and then they go ahead and vote for whatever they were going to vote for anyway. So it seems like they kind of come into these things with the decisions already made. I don't know if we could help community members have more of a voice to push back against that. Be a deal.
So we have a motion on the floor. That it was going to be a second and a fourth.
That's good.
Second. Thank you. And Jeremy was the one that raised it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we can go ahead and vote, there's no changes. Yes.
No, that's a friendly amendment.
That's what I'm aiming for.
All right. Eric East. Jeremy Davis.
Actually, Jillian goes first.
Oh. Next month, it's all gonna be updated. Jillian Dyer.
Yes.
Eric East.
Yes.
Jeremy Davis.
Yes.
Doug Gallagher.
Yes.
Justin Garland.
Yeah.
Seth Golden.
Yes.
Squally Grotto is not here. David Hegley.
Yes.
Zeta Jenkins is not here. Michael Conrad.
Yes.
Katie McDevitt is yes. Benjamin.
Yes.
Demetrius Warren Saunders.
Yes.
Kevin Pingrace.
Yes.
No, that's it.
I want to make sure you weren't skipped there.
Thank you.
It's always one to double check.
And I even spoke loudly so Doreen could hear me.
Leilon Sellers is not here. Ted Sublette.
Yes.
Doreen Younghouse. Yes. Steve Waldron.
Yes.
Tom Wildman is not here. Brian Williams.
Yes.
Motion unanimously passes with
Yes.
and no, 0 no's and no recusals or absence. No, the votes tonight about the voters abstaining, so yes, are consistent with.
Well, just in luck, so we had 16 out of 15, right, so we did good.
Yes, yes. So the motion.
Has passed 15.
Yes.
We were in the middle of going around with community, any points, other discussions.
I didn't use my 3 minutes.
Yes, you did.
Which was that, but there was one comment that I forgot to address, which was the number of people. I did not count the number of people. I know there were a lot of them. I didn't want to put in, there were a lot of people because it's subjective. So because I did not know the exact number of people that were here from the community, I didn't list that. But I thought about it, and it makes me think we should start counting the number of people we have from the public at our meetings.
And I agree, because we have been keeping a sign-in sheet for people who attend commission meetings, so we need to continue.
Yeah, we do.
that. Okay, thank you.
So you could use that number.
All right, so let's continue with the times of commission.
We have a sign-in sheet for that night.
Sorry,
You could say how many people were here.
Yeah.
We have 2 deer in the front yard with full rack horns that, are ready to confront each other any day now, and that's one of the characters. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't really have a district concern, but I'm pretty sure, we're gonna come back to a question, she was asking about.
Right, and I was gonna address that after you.
Oh, later, okay.
God, how much later is there?
We're coming back to that, I guess that's what just wanted to.
Thank you.
I checked in with the community and, concerns are still, as we transition picking up the recycling weekly, that our recycling is not being picked up in, the Glen Echo area. I think it is being picked up in campus. Glen Echo, there's Glen Echo's drive. So there's a section of Glen Echo Drive that's separated where we actually, this Arcadia, structure is on the Echo Drive a bit as well. And they're not having recycling picked up more regularly than just now. So that's a concern. There are reports of people, so not within my district, but on Citizen, there have been reports of people struck by people at 5th and 9th. So just kind of wanted to raise awareness that we're continuing to have more pedestrians hit by vehicles constantly on Citizen, so follow along with that, that's a big concern. Vision Zero is not working at all. So it may or may not. And then there was a large garage fire in Denison Place, so I just kind of also wanted to bring awareness to that. I hope everyone's okay. I see both of our guys are here, so. Summit Station historical marker, that dedication was absolutely fantastic. So Julia was there, and then Lester was not able to attend. He's actually in the hospital right now. But there were, I mean, hundreds of people throughout the day. I would assume there were a lot of people. There was a band, and it was a really beautiful event. And the neighbors that I spoke to, they noticed that there were 3 different commissioners that attended that event, and it was really meaningful to them to see the commission there to support the LGBTQ plus community, but also the local music community as well. And so that was pretty impactful. And also there have been increased gear in the neighborhood heading towards Hudson. So not just in the ravines themselves, but we're seeing deer like everywhere. So that is something that is concerning because we can't keep them.
Are they crossing Hudson? Like, are we like do we have deer crossing now on that busy ass street?
Women's football field or the field.
Oh, wow.
They're on Indiana Avenue every night.
We're in Indiana.
Yeah.
They're on Lane Avenue.
Oh my God, I haven't seen them on Maynard yet, but sorry, I was just wondering.
Yeah, so
They're
I'm
everywhere.
reporting that, and I think that last night I heard that in Clintonville, they were having a meeting about the deer and to just kind of figure out how to hold the population in a safe manner. So just keep your eyes out, but also pedestrians watch out.
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts of things that have been sort of in the back of my mind, and I kind of notice them, and I, just kind of don't think to bring them up, but I'm gonna do that now. In my neighborhood, and a lot of this is around 11th and 4th, and I'm just kind of, there's so much neglect. It was 8 years ago, I think this week, because it was just before I closed on the house when I moved to Wyland Park on Hamlet, that Kelly's Market at 11th and 4th. So that has been shut down for like 8 years this month, and it's been sitting there and nothing has happened to it. There was a fence around it for 7.5 years, and that went down a couple of months ago, and I have, it's just sitting there. Right across the street of that, across 11th to the north, the building that where the Sugar Shack used to be, has been vacant and in the northern part of the University District, we got deer. Here we have a every night a raccoon party going on, and I'm told that this whole building, this big building that's been vacant for a couple of decades, is just filled with raccoons. And of course, why is it when we have so much development that we have, our things are just left to rot, and I think the city needs to really crack down on landlords letting things go. If there's anything that seems really right for eminent domain, it is the idea of people who own property and let it rot to everybody else's property values and prospects. That's a crime as far as I'm concerned. That kind of abandonment. But then there's a newer building, and this has just been a pet peeve of mine, and I'm finally going to bring it up here. But the neighborhood pride building, which I call the neighborhood pride fortress. This is a city building, and it's right there and open, and just great fanfare, and it really is not open to the public. I lived in Chicago for a number of years. You go to any Chicago police station and the doors are open and you walk in and you want to talk to somebody about something, boom, you do that. Everyone. There's like 25 district stations and 6 area stations, and any one of those, it's a public building, you walk in. This thing, even if you have a scheduled meeting, you have to have somebody let you in. It really does nothing to serve the public. So, great.
Good job.
Brian, I will send you an email about the building with the raccoons. I had someone else email me about that, so I'll send you a response.
They're your neighbor.
Campus Apartment zones where Kelly's.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I meant to, I didn't write it down. I wrote it down here and couldn't read my writing. So I should read just a quick word about the fires that Katie mentioned. Luckily, no one was injured. And as far as I know, Michael, if you've heard differently, the cause has not been determined yet. It began in a garage of a house, a garage that has recently been sold and changed ownership. I'm not sure whether it was occupied at the time or not, but as far as I know, the cause is not determined.
Thank you. Sharon?
Nothing other than the Summit Station plaque dedication was lovely. It was very high. It was well received and it was cool. It was really cool.
She said it was hot.
Last but not least.
Yeah, to add to comments about traffic and pedestrians being hit, our Vision Zero rep has resigned and the position is open now. So we do not currently have anybody, or she may still be finishing out, but yeah, that is a posted position. It is in the Division of Traffic Management, which is notoriously not very friendly towards pedestrian, bikes, or anybody who's not in cars. And
With the city.
yeah. I have also continued to try to get information from ODOT about what we can do about Fourth and Summit and Indianola, since they are part of Route 23, even though nobody actually follows state routes like that. Nobody who's cutting through Columbus is going to be driving on Indianola. They're going to be on 71 or 270 to get around the city. But to see who has jurisdiction to either add traffic calming, add traffic calming and lower the speed limits on those streets, because people are wild when they drive on those streets. And I even, I'm very conscious of this, and I catch myself speeding because it's extremely easy. So I am trying to figure out a way to get in touch with somebody who has a straight answer. So if anybody has any suggestions, that would be great. And then just one other thing, my roommate rides a bike everywhere. I think technically owns a car that might be at their parents' house, but bikes everywhere, and was recently shot at with a BB gun on High Street. So I think traffic calming would also help some of that rage that I think everybody who rides a bike has experienced.
Thank you. I do. Yeah. My daughter sent me an email about text half hour ago. She's in charge of a volunteer crew, and she said, "Hey, it's sort of happened to be us." She said, "Do you know of any groups in the university area that might need a group of volunteers to do something?" So, okay, yeah, anyone just yeah. So anyone has, because I guess there's something her churches. It's a World Nations Church, and they're looking to do a bunch of community projects. So get a hold of me, and I'll give you her number.
I'm sorry, I have one more thing that I wanted to bring up, and it's just to Jillian's point about traffic calming, because I feel like a lot of times we hear that excuse, like ODOT doesn't have authority, or the city of Columbus doesn't have authority, but I just want to remind everybody the number of routes that go through downtown Columbus, and city council recently voted to lower the speed limit in downtown to 25 miles per hour everywhere. So like, we can't buy that excuse that they don't have.
And ODOT agreed to.
Yeah, so there's, the excuse is that it's part of a state route that isn't a business district, which I would argue that a residential district should be lower than a business district even, but that's not everything they're using. Yeah, that's what they've been saying. I've been trying to get answers, and a lot of people stopped responding to my emails.
And the check to the GIS map that's on the City of Columbus website, I believe.
Which one?
So I'm assuming you released check, because there's like the main one, and then there's like a secondary one, I believe. That does like the graphic overlays of like ownership in terms of like the city versus.
Probably looked at it.
That's the resource I always use, so that's the.
So the city does have jurisdiction. They have said that ODOT won't approve it, and therefore they're not going to try, but they are doing traffic studies soon. However, the way the traffic studies are interpreted won't get speed limits lowered.
Jillian, I'm gonna have you connect with SWID afterwards, because me and her did a lot of work in the Wyland Park area regarding speeding and lights. So please connect with each other.
Okay, I'm gonna get back to a question you asked. If I understood what you were saying, city council coming here, or a member of city council?
No, us going to a city council meeting when they decide to vote on that.
Okay. Well, I guess I wanted to sort of let all of you know, and this was kind of a good time to do it, with this being presented tonight and us voting on it. But Seth and I have been summoned to Rob Doran's office. And we were trying to get a date either tomorrow or Friday, probably Friday, since my son was on vacation. This has been hanging over our heads for about a week or so. And I'm assuming that it is really in part because tradition had started with Priscilla Tyson, who did not want to have city council.
Could you speak up a little, Lorraine?
Very hard at city council not passing anything if the area commission was against it. And Ron Lawrence had initially said that he was following through with that same thing. So I think we're just going to wait and see now. Okay, anybody want to run out and stop? So we'll see how this goes and report that to everybody. So it's good. It certainly brings the point home in a very good way. So thank you, Chairman Michael, for especially for taking the initiative. Okay. All right, moving on to the agenda. There is. Do you want to explain that?
We're still, the city, we're finalizing the monies from last year.
There's a glitch that's on the city side.
They extruded the money out of our account before the checks were cleared. 2 months before, quicker than any other year, which even David Huey and the new guy, David
Fox. What?
Fox, sort of were puzzled why they did it so soon. So anyhow, they need to kick us back some more money.
I have no speakers list from the public, so we're going to move on to approval of the minutes and then adjournment. And finally, no, this is the, Katie, that reminded me, I don't know if you need to know myself down last name. I'm reading that. And he's sending me the copies that I signed tomorrow.
And Jeremy says in the physical.
It's like the physical copy of the agenda that I printed out.
But if you need that,
And let me just ask, I'm gonna check to see if I did have a sign sheet for that. Yeah, for the zoning. Well, I think we had one.
I'll check and see if I have.
Oh, we already voted on the memo.
No, but if it comes up in conversation.
During your conversation, yeah. Yes.
All right, then, we have, I'm seeing everybody, corrections. Is there a motion to?
I guess- I didn't. I don't read it. You know, that's too bad.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
There were a whole bunch of. Tim moved, and he.
Tim moves, and who seconded? Who read them? Stephen? I'm sorry. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Is there a motion to?
Move.
You didn't get that eyes.
All those in favor of adjournment and taking on the with your eyes are blocked by executive, signify by saying aye, I'm taking a lesser.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys for coming.
Well, today was the longest day of the year, and so it doesn't surprise